will be late, stuck in traffic.
And we've got one from Councillor Khan. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our council meeting. I'm pleased to see that we've got members of the Youth Council here today. You're always welcome. Declan and I have had another busy few weeks, attending a variety of events across the borough, which include Tameside Virtual School Awards, the Adult Service Awards, Home Start Volunteers Awards, Art Awards to talented students at several schools across Tameside. We attended Tameside's Rotary Charter Dinner, St John's Ambulance Presentation Evening, and the East Manchester Scouts Awards, and the wonderful Diwali Festival of Lights. We launched 2 new litter hubs in Ashton, attended the Word Skill event at Tameside College, the Tameside Together event, and the Business Women event. I've attended 3 citizen ceremonies, welcomed a King's Scout and several community groups into the Mayor's Parlour to recognise their achievements. I attended several remembrance services across Tameside. I was humbled to see so many people attending the services this year, and it was especially lovely to see so many children attending them. And in case you haven't noticed, Christmas is almost upon us. We attended the fabulous Tameside Lantern Parade. It was a brilliant event using the best of our local talent to bring together the whole Tameside community. I would like to say a special thank you to Tameside Culture and Events team and everyone involved in the management and presentation of both the remembrance services held across Tameside and the Lantern Parade. All carried out to the highest standard, showcasing the best we have in Tameside. And finally, Declan and myself would like to wish you all the happiest and most peaceful Christmas and New Year. Thank you. I hand over now to Chair of the Council Business, Councillor Joe Kitchen.
Members and officers, please stand as the civic mayor leads the council chamber to this road.
Please be seated. Move on to agenda item 2, the council minutes. Could I ask that the leader moves those, please?
Thank you, Chair. I ask that we move minutes for the meetings that the council held on the 24th and 29th of October.
Thank you. Are those seconded?
I second that, Chair.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? You all happy that they've signed? Thank you. Agenda item 3, is there any declarations of interest? No. Agenda item 4, communications of announcement, Executive Leader, Councillor Wills.
Members and officers of the council, as I stand before you tonight, it marks 40 days since I was given the privilege of representing Tameside as leader of this council. When I assumed this role, I promised that we would not rest until we had proved to our residents that we were a changed council, a council that takes your frustrations seriously, a council which listens and cares. Our work has only just begun, but as we come to the end of 2024, I believe that we have already taken some big steps towards achieving this goal. My first priority has been to put the right people in the right place to begin effecting change at an organisational level. In October, we were delighted to secure the appointment of Harry Catherall as Interim Chief Executive. I'm sure I speak for us all when I say how impressed I have been with how he has thrown himself into the role, taken every opportunity to meet with staff and hear their views and concerns directly, extending the staff survey to reflect any concerns and allow for further interactions whilst rebuilding trust. Tonight, we lay another one of the major building blocks for change. We will welcome Jill Colbert, OBE, as our new and permanent Director of Children's Services. Jill's outstanding record of improvement and delivery in children's services speaks for itself. Jill was the Chief Executive of Together for Children, the operating company that delivers children's services for Sunderland City Council. Jill led that authority through a sustained improvement journey, culminating in moving from an adequate Ofsted rating to outstanding in a complicated environment with limited resources. As well as this role, Jill has also held senior leadership positions in Trafford, Knowsley and Nottingham councils, and was awarded an OBE in the late Queen's Platinum Birthday Honours List for services for children. I'm sure you'll agree what an amazing track record she has and what a fantastic appointment for us in Tameside. I'm absolutely committed to driving forward the transformation improvement that we need to see in our children's services, and I believe Jill shares the same passion. Out of the many candidates interviewed, she stood out as a result of her experience and her commitment to children and young people. From day one, Jill will bring stability and expertise required to accelerate our improvement journey. I'm delighted to welcome her to Tameside, and I look forward to working together to provide our children, families and young people with the quality services they need and deserve. In other news, I'm delighted to be able to share with you all this evening Stockport Council has been chosen as Tameside's strategic partner to support the authority on its ongoing work to improve children's services. Another good news story for us in terms of stabilising children's services. Stockport, whose children's services were rated as good by Ofsted in 2022, will work closely with Tameside from January, offering 400 days worth of support per year over the next 3 years to help guide our ongoing improvement journey. We welcome this support from our close neighbour Stockport and from our wider Greater Manchester family. The partnership, alongside the new appointment for a permanent, fully committed Director of Children's Services, demonstrates the meaningful change and investment we have in the future of our children and young people. When I accepted the position of leader, I made it clear that I intended to listen to every voice, consider every idea, and bring the residents' voices into our decision-making. I was delighted to be able to begin that collaborative approach from my first full day as council leader, where I was given the opportunity to join Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner, Health Minister Andrew Gwynne, Lord Wajid Khan and GMP Chief Superintendent Chris Foster for a Tameside Together event in Duckingfield Town Hall, organised by Councillor Tafeen Sharif and supported by Councillor Naila Sharif, alongside many other community activists, to discuss strengthening our community cohesion, health, equality and combating the rise of hate crime. Since then, I have been grateful to have had further opportunities to turn this promise into action. Over the past few weeks, I have spoken to council staff and residents at events such as the Long Service Foster Carers Awards and the Carers' Rights Day, as well as joining our hard-working gritting teams in the midst of the recent storms. They made our roads safe for motorists and pedestrians alike. We okay? Yeah? Thank you. As we move towards Christmas, I have also had the pleasure of attending some of the most exciting and some of the most solemn community events on our shared cultural calendar. This included the Christmas Lantern Parade in Hyde earlier this month, thanks to the Council's cultural services, partners such as Global Grooves, Cabasa and No Eye Theatre, and a small army of local volunteers and businesses. It is an event that has only grown bigger and better with every passing year. I certainly thoroughly enjoyed it, so did my children and my family. This year was no exception, as residents of all ages turned up to take in the sights and sounds of our lantern parade and other festive events held throughout our towns. What wonderful community celebrations we've had. I join with other residents and organisations across Tameside to pay our respects to those brave men and women who, from the fields of France to the deserts of Afghanistan, have laid their lives down for their country. From the weekend up until Monday of Armistice Day, no more than 25 remembrance events were held across the borough in a profound and moving display of community solidarity. Finally, I had the honour of visiting some of our temples across Tameside to celebrate Diwali and partake in the magnificently colourful and vibrant celebrations put on by our Hindu communities. Over the course of the next year, I plan, along with the Chief Executive and other senior councillors and officers, to organise and attend a number of other community events to show, beyond all doubt, that we are here to listen, here to care, and here to make a difference. Another one of my commitments to Tameside was to press on with the work of restoring our town centres to their rightful place as engines of economic growth and beacons of civic pride. Through funding from the UK Shared Prosperity Fund and the Hyde Accelerator Programme, we are starting to make considerable progress through our renovation of Hyde Market Ground. It's great to see spades on the ground in these key projects, and along with similar schemes in Ashton, Stalybridge, Droylsden and elsewhere, I am confident that we are securing Tameside's future as a great place to live, work and do business in. As part of that commitment, I'm delighted to announce that plans have been approved for free parking in council-operated car parks in the lead up to Christmas, something which Councillor Homer will announce and give further details with regards to today's meeting. However, as we look forward to Christmas, we must not forget that there are still many people in Tameside for whom this period is a time of anguish and anxiety. As part of the Household Support Fund, Tameside has received £2.2 million from the government to help those most in need over this winter period. Some of this money will be used to provide targeted and direct support to those who need it most, while a further portion will be allocated to enable voluntary sector organisations and the Council's own welfare rights and debt advice services to continue to provide much needed support over the colder months. In addition, an open application system has been established into which residents can apply for help with the costs of food, energy and other essentials. I'm delighted to be able to help our most vulnerable throughout the winter months with decisive action from this council and the further Household Support Fund investment. We've launched a number of targeted programmes to support people as a council alongside this, including the Tameside Toy Appeal and the Care Leavers Appeal, to ensure that nobody goes without at least some Christmas cheer. Finally, to those in Tameside who may be struggling, I urge you to visit our libraries, which are very welcoming, our customer services to see which help may be available for you. Our staff are leaving no stone unturned to get to grips with the needs of our communities and will work tirelessly to provide the advice and support that you are entitled to. As 2024 ends and a new year begins, I believe that we should feel invigorated by the opportunities to deliver change in Tameside. Not change for change's sake or tokenistic change that ends up meaning little to our residents, but real and lasting change that transforms our borough into a better place for us all. We're beginning to deliver this change in our communities and town centres, but at the same time, we are changing the council as an organisation as well. With experienced and skilled leaders like Jill Colbert at the helm, the foundations are almost laid to deliver a new Tameside Council. A council that does not just state its ambitions through words, but proves with action that we know not just what we need to do and how we do it, but that we can do it with the consent and support of our residents. My ambition for 2025 is to build a Tameside Council that communicates, that is empathetic, and that is also always there when it is needed. I look forward to working with you all to turn that into a reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Billington, you've indicated to speak. We don't take any questions or comments at this time. So I'm now moving on to Councillor Homer.
Thanks, Chair. I'd like to make a couple of announcements this evening, if I can. As part of the new leadership, our new vision, our fresh approach, in my position as lead member for Towns Transport and Connectivity, I'm pleased to announce this free parking initiative. We have been listening. I'm happy to announce that we will be offering free parking on Saturdays during December to support our local traders, retailers and residents alike. We really want to encourage visitors from across Tameside and beyond to come to our towns, support local businesses and enjoy the festive season. Free parking will be available on 3 Saturdays of December, 7th, 14th and 21st. This will be a maximum of 3 hours at selected council-operated car parks. The council is hoping to give a boost to many brilliant independent businesses across the borough. I'd also like to announce our Shop Local pledge. I'd like to thank Councillor Owen for her help and support with this one. We're asking that all Tameside councillors and officers will make a public pledge to do at least some of their Christmas shopping in the borough's small businesses this Christmas. We would like all elected members this evening to sign the pledge board stating, "I pledge to shop local in Tameside this Christmas." With this pledge, combined with the council's offer of free parking on designated car parks across our towns, starting on Saturday the 7th, which is Small Business Saturday, we hope to highlight the small and medium-sized businesses that provide a personalised alternative to the mass-produced offerings of anonymous national retailers. Many of these businesses offer great customer service and product knowledge and may stock products that are unique to their town. Small businesses are generally owned by local people. Many of their employees will come from the surrounding area, meaning even more money stays in the local economy. For every £1 spent in a small business, at least 50 pence circulates back into the local economy, which is a very welcome boost. This is why this December we ask you all to try where you can to support small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a number of councillors asking to speak on this. I'll just remind you, under item 4, communications and announcements, those are announcements by the executive leader or other elected executive members. It is not a question or comment at this stage. You can ask those questions later on the agenda. Can I now call on Councillor Reid to make an announcement?
It's a delight to stand here tonight to make this announcement. The leader and I and many other councillors are very, very clear that our residents should be at the heart of absolutely everything we do. And us as councillors and the council should be adhering to the highest possible standards in public life, exercising transparency and openness. Any decision that can't be made in the daylight shouldn't be being made. That's why I'm pleased to announce a review of many of our processes across the council, starting with how we operate full council and the constitution, and hopefully, if confirmed tonight, the new chair of the Democratic Process Working Group, Councillor Warrington, will be helping me with that. We need to engage with our residents, we need to make it relevant, we need to make ourselves relevant to them, and for me this is a really important first step. We're also going to be looking at neighbourhood forums. Again, this is something that I think has been debated many times in this room. We've all got our opinions about how they can be better. If they're going to be engaging, it has to be meaningful engagement. We're so lucky in this borough that we have so many fantastic community groups, so many groups that benefit from our ward funds, that work with us closely. Let's map that out. Let's use it as a resource to really get to every single part of our borough and make this a borough that we can really be proud of. It's not what we say, but what we do. And it's about reflecting the hopes, fears, and most importantly, the values of our residents. I know another point of issue and contention has always been the scrutiny process, and that's why I'm here tonight to announce that we are going to be taking a fundamental review of our scrutiny process. How can a scrutiny process operate if it's post-decision? Surely it's a meaningful consultation on decisions that are being made. And in my view, there are very few decisions that wouldn't benefit from the input of backbench councillors and information from our residents. And I'm really pleased to see the 3 scrutiny chairs and the chair of overview very much committed to this agenda. And if I may, Chair, I'll just invite Councillor Gwynne to expand a little bit more on the work of the Audit Committee in this transformation. Thank you.
An announcement as Chair of Overview and Audit. I'm really excited to be taking on this crucial panel at a time of change. There has been some preliminary work towards transformation. We want to be bolder and will go further than the initial proposals. At our next panel meeting, we'll be looking on how we make scrutiny and oversight function even more effective. Governance and decision making by this council should not feel remote to our residents, and holding the executive to account should not be feared. We all have a role to play in shaping the policies of this council, and we should use any means that we can to give the public every confidence decisions are taken following the most rigorous process.
Councillor Billington, a point of order with what is it?
So communications or announcements. To receive any announcements or communications from the Chair of Council Business, the Executive Leader, members of the Executive Cabinet or Chief Executive. Councillor Gwynne is not a member of the Cabinet. And what I'm seeing here tonight is members of the Cabinet filibustering because the agenda tonight is absolutely way thin. So you're pulling up time.
Councillor Billington, would you
we've got absolutely
stop
nothing on the
speaking for a
agenda.
minute, please? Thank you. Who's just said that? Thank you. Councillor Billington, will you stop interrupting the meeting? You've been on this council a long time, and it's custom and practice that executive members have asked their assistant executive members to make a point. Okay? Thank you. I am now moving on to Councillor Feely.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm delighted this evening to be here to announce that Tameside Council's Defence Employer Recognition Scheme, the ERS, has received Gold Award re-evaluation, and this is the highest level that can be achieved. Tameside has made a promise that those who serve or who have served in the armed forces and their families are treated fairly. This re-evaluation is only a continuation of the commitment that Tameside has shown. And since 2012, Tameside's proactively supported this work and proudly has run annual events in Denton. And I think it is worth mentioning those members who have been involved across the years, because this isn't just one person but many people. Councillor Martin Waring, Councillor Vincent Rickey, and now recently Councillor Hugh Roderick, who has been leading on this re-evaluation programme and done tremendous work. And I just want to pass over to Councillor Roderick to go through a little bit more detail. Thank you.
just to expand on the great news that we have from the ERS scheme, I strongly believe that it is important that we, as a local authority and as a society, recognise the great debt of gratitude that we owe to those who serve and those who have served in our armed forces. And the best way as a local authority to do that is to ensure that their service does not mean that they have any impediment upon their civilian lives. That was why Tameside Council signed up to the Armed Forces Covenant in 2012 to commit to the pledge that no currently serving or veteran member of the armed forces or their families would face disadvantage accessing council services as a result of their time in the forces. Subsequently, in 2014, the Ministry of Defence launched their employer recognition scheme to recognise those organisations, such as ourselves, that had signed up to the Covenant and that were also going above and beyond to support their armed forces employees. Tameside Council engaged with local defence organisations and implemented employment policies such as ensuring that those leaving the forces are aware of opportunities within employment within the council, and also ensuring that our reservists that are in our employ have extra leave to allow them to perform their duties. As a result of these efforts, in 2019, the council was awarded the Gold Award, the highest award, as Councillor Feely correctly said, that the employer can achieve under this scheme. Awards are re-evaluated every 5 years, and it is my honour as Assistant Executive Member for Armed Forces to be able to report to full council that we have completed the evaluation process and that the local cadet forces. So I want to say thank you to the officers who worked on this revalidation process, and of course thank you to all the council employees and indeed all those across Tameside that currently serve and are our veterans. We owe you a huge debt of gratitude, and I'm determined in my role that in all we do as a council we will recognise this. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now move on to agenda item 5, which is the council's big conversation. They are no... Sorry. I don't take questions from members at this stage, Councillor Holland. I'm now moving on. Agenda item 5, the council's big conversation. There are no questions under this item. We did receive a number of questions concerning matters which are not the responsibility of the council and therefore, in accordance with the council's constitution, cannot be asked. Agenda item 6 is the meeting of the Executive Cabinet on the 30th of October. Are those moved?
Be moved, Chair, for the Exec Cabinet minutes of the 30th of October.
Are those seconded? I'll second those, Chair. Any questions or comments on these? Councillor Billington.
Yes, first of all, I just want to come back to that, what Councillor Reid said to me. I am in favour of transparency, but that item, you know full well, the opposition are not allowed.
Councillor Billington, you're coming in to ask a question on the Executive Cabinet. That's what I'm asking you to do.
They've had their time.
I'm asking you to stick to what's here. You're asking questions on the Executive
perhaps
Cabinet
that should be applied to the
on
Cabinet
the minutes.
then as well, Chair.
Sorry?
That should be applied to the Cabinet as well, Chair. I don't think it's right.
That is my ruling, Councillor Billington. You've been on this council long enough to know that. You've got a question on the executive minutes, please ask that question.
Well, just finally, what I would say is some of the speeches felt like it was word soup, as if like maybe Councillor McLaren's writing them or ChatGPT. But I will go on to the questions that I was going to say. Basically, on the overspend, we see this year on year. It happens every year within finance. There is always an overspend in children's and adults. But what it's always used for is to push the fear that we need more council tax increases. And the people in Tameside, they don't want to be taxed anymore because they're already being taxed by this Labour government. even more. They're going to see it within the jobs tax, with the national insurance increases. Farmers are seeing it. And businesses are suffering. So, and Labour have already announced that there is going to be a £100 increase to council tax bills. That is coming from central government. And we don't know yet what is going to come from the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, where he has, in the past, increased his precept as much as 30% year on year. Since he's become the Mayor of Greater Manchester, his precept has gone up by 296%. So Labour, as we know, Councillor Wills says she's been in 40 days, but the Labour Party have been in this control of this borough for 45 years. And every single year, they always put up council tax. And people of Tameside do not want to see more council tax rises. We are one of the most impoverished boroughs. We have one of the lowest rates of growth. You know, perhaps, you know, Johnny Reynolds with his grand ideas for the country, perhaps he could have started off with Tameside first.
Councillor Billington, in February, that's when we have the meeting where we discuss the budget and whether there's going to be a council tax rise or not. I'm sure you and your party will put yours forward at that stage. So until then, do you mind asking a question that's on the Executive Cabinet minutes?
So I'd like to ask the Cabinet then, given the increases of council tax and given the overspend, do you believe that we are getting value for money? Children's services is in a mess. Adult social care, we're in the bottom 10% of the country. Even the LGA put it quite politely, saying that we're in the bottom quartile of our statistical neighbours. But when you look at the data, we are in the bottom 10%. And, you know, so that falls down to Councillor Taylor as well. So perhaps, you know, it's not about money, as Andrew Gwynn said, about children's services. Perhaps it's about delivering value for money, something that this group has been saying for a long, long time. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments before I ask for a response? No. Executive Leader.
Thank you, Chair, and I don't want to be presumptuous with regards to the first parts of Councillor Billington's questions on what we're going to do moving forward to the next financial year. But just to respond, I don't think we can flippantly refer to our current financial circumstances with regards to the impact of the cuts that we've received after the last 14 years of previous government on local authority finances, which is, it's hard to understate. As funding continues to fall, the rise of demand in statutory services such as adults and children's social care and homelessness continue to rise with pressures, especially seeing a surge in demand following the disastrous mini-budget that sent mortgage rates soaring and baits in high inflation over a much longer period. The Council remains in a sound financial position with the balance sheet remaining strong along with the adequate provision in reserves. I'm also aware that the government announced last week with regards to a £600 million contribution of the new 1.3 billion to be allocated to a recovery grant which targets areas of deprivation. So I'm hopeful that we will see further funding drilling down from the government as Councillor Billington seems to want to focus on our government ministers. It does appear that they are supporting us on a local council level much sooner than his government led us over the last 14 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Holland, you've been trying to come in.
Listen, just give us a minute while I get out of the chair. My back's absolutely killing me.
You can remain seated, Councillor
No, it's
Holland,
all right.
it's better.
Yeah, it's all right. When do I get the opportunity to ask a question on one of the Cabinet men, what they've said tonight? I've got some comments to make on what Councillor Holmer said as a representative of Droylsden. When do I get the chance to do that? Or am I going to get the chance to do it?
Yes, you are. It's under the Executive Cabinet minutes. You can ask that question, which is now.
Is it now?
Yes.
Councillor Homer talked about spending money in the local shops. I wish we had some local shops in Droylsden. 70% of all the shops in Droylsden Precinct are boarded up and have an air of permanence about them. In the middle of it is the rat-infested town hall, rotting away, the Concord Suite, that's been like that for 8 years. We have 5 brownfield sites, all with planning permission for over 12 years, all within 150 yards of the town centre, that would accommodate over 400 units. I'd like to know when we're going to get the same input into my town council that I represent that we're getting in other town councils. Ashton, Hyde and Staley Bridge. There is free parking in Droylsden. Everybody dumps the car on the car park there, gets on the tram and goes to Ashton and goes to Manchester. If you want to go to the bank and do some banking, you do what everybody does in Droylsden. You get on a tram, you go and stand in a queue at Cheshire Building Society, Santander or Nationwide and talk to other people that have come up from Droylsden. I'd like him to make some comment on it. When are we going to get some input into my town centre?
Thank you, Councillor Holland. If nobody else is going to speak, I'm going to ask if Executive Leader would like to respond, and then I'll move on.
I'm sure Councillor Holland is aware of our priorities with regards to Droylsden and the master plan, and I am aware that Councillor Homer is engaging with those members with regards to the regeneration visions for Droylsden. He does have access to Councillor Homer as well, so I would hope that he'd take that conversation out of this room. Thank you.
Thank you. Is everybody okay with receiving those minutes? Yes, thank you. Agenda item 7, which is the Standards Committee. Councillor Jack Homer to move. Those are seconded. Anybody got any questions or comments on that? No, we all in favour then? Yeah, thank you. Agenda item 8 is the statutory review of polling districts. Executive Leader to move.
Chair, I'm just asking that we approve the motion, move the motion this evening that no changes be made to the polling districts or polling stations following the review.
That's seconded.
Yeah, I'll second that, Chair.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on that? No? Everybody in favour then, yeah? Thank you. Agenda item 9 is the appointment of the Director of Children's Services, Executive Leader.
Thank you, Chair. I'm asking that we move the recommendations this evening that the appointment of Jill Colbert as Director of Children's Services be noted and the revised salary be agreed this evening. I'm going to ask Councillor Smith to second me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to second this appointment. We know that one of the key things we need to do as part of our improvement journey is to ensure permanence and a stable workforce. And a strong leader will attract staff who understand our challenges and want to commit to staying on our journey because they want to make a real difference. This is one of the reasons that we committed to appointing a permanent Director of Children's Services. Dr. Catherine Driscoll is working hard to assist us on our journey, but we also need the commitment of someone who lives close to Tameside. Jill's experience shone through at the interview, and she has the experience and a proven record of leading improvement journeys, and we're confident that she will be the leader and the pace we need to bring about change. As you've heard, her career began as a youth justice social worker in Birmingham, and later in her career, she worked in Merseyside and Greater Manchester as a Director of Adults and Children's Services. Jill knows Tameside. She understands the demographics of our borough and the challenges we are facing. As you've heard earlier from the leader of the council, she also was awarded an OBE for services by our previous Queen in her Platinum Jubilee Honours list. I hope you'll agree that this is someone with a strong track record, and children are at the centre of everything she does. I would like to reassure all members that the interview process was a rigorous one. The process involved panels with representatives from our stakeholders, workforce, elected members, and a fabulous and often referred to as a scary children and young people's panel. We also had support from our Commissioner, Andy Coldrick. We had outstanding candidates, and I'm sure other members on the panel will agree that Jill's enthusiasm, personality and commitment to young people and families shone at every opportunity. As lead member, I'm delighted with this appointment and I'm excited to be working with her. I am confident that she will work closely with our hard-working and dedicated workforce to bring about the changes that we need. This appointment shows that we are working in the right direction of travel. By working together, officers and members, we can move forward at pace, making sure that we give every child and young person the support that they deserve. It's hoped that Jill will join us early in the new year. Until then, Dr. Catherine Driscoll will continue to lead as interim DCS. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Catherine for being part of our journey and for the changes she has already brought about. I ask you to support the revised salary for our DCS, as I do believe that she will be a strong leader and bring about the changes we need with our children, young people and families. I believe they're truly rooted in her vision as well as ours, and all those that are close to Tameside. Thank you.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Is there any other questions or comments? No? Councillor Martin.
Chair. Okay. So I just wanted to take time to welcome Jill Colbert. I do welcome this appointment. I think it's important that everyone in this chamber is reminded that good leaders attract good people. We know that there are challenges within our workforce in Tameside, and Jill Colbert will hopefully bring the stability that we need to attract permanent staff and drive the service needed to make an impact on our children and their families, because at the end of the day, this is what's most important, to impact real change. Hopefully people are aware that there's children's reform going on nationally, and I do think with this change of leadership, with Jill Colburn at the helm, along with her team, we can have a real impact on things like family group conferences, improving our early help offers for our families, and then tackling very expensive for-profit children's homes in the borough, because we know that this is a problem in England, Scotland, Wales. So this isn't a Tameside specific problem, but it's definitely a problem that we should really start tackling, which I believe we will with Jill at the helm. And we can feed into the important children's reforms and also tackle agency workers as well. So yeah, welcome to the borough, Jill.
Thank you. Councillor Barry Holland.
My ears, Councillor Kitchen, are perfect, but I've got to say that this evening I've struggled to hear at least 50% of what's been said in this room, and I'm sure other people are the same. I think look for another venue, that's what I've got to say.
Your comments will be noted. Councillor Clarence.
It was just to briefly endorse the comments of the exec member for Children's Services. I had the privilege of being as part of the interview panel, and I was very, very impressed with all the candidates, and the rigour with which the candidates have been put through was absolutely tremendous. And there's just two basic points I'd like to make. That we had full cross-party support in that interview process, and it was unanimous that everyone felt that the strongest candidate won. But I just think it's a permanent candidate. She's very, very qualified, and I come from the corporate world, and I was very impressed with how hard-headed she was about the issues that we face financially. So I'd just like to endorse it, and I think we've got a wonderful, wonderful candidate. Thank you.
Thank you. Another person speaking at the moment, so do you wish to move and second it again? Or do you need to respond? No?
No. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Well, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favour of that appointment and the salary that's been agreed, thank you. Now move on then to agenda item 10, Amendments to the Constitution. Councillor Wills.
Thank you, Chair. I'm asking Council to approve the recommendations as set out in the report.
Is that seconded?
Recommendations, Chair.
Any questions or comments on them? All in favour of those amendments then? Thank you. We'll now move on to agenda item 11, which is the appointments to various bodies. Executive Leader.
Move those, please, Chair, for approval this evening.
Thank you. Seconded?
Yeah, I'd like to second that, Chair.
Thank you. Everybody okay with those amendments and that? Yeah. Councillor Billington.
Yes, it was just quickly to say congratulations to the Leader of the Council for getting this passed through the NEC, and commiserations to those who failed their interviews. So maybe next time, eh?
Thank you. Move on to agenda item 12. Questions under standing order. Yes.
The Beeline network one, there seems to be, it's heavily loaded on the Stalybridge Hyde side of this borough. There's 7 from there and 3 from the Ashton. And clearly there's a major issue in Mosley because 2 from Mosley are on there. I would have hoped that Steve looks at that again and has a good balance across the borough, because we've all got in some way or other, and I accept there's only 1 from Denton on it, accept that, but we have a re-look at that, because we've all got issues with certain buses, and if we don't get this sorted prior to it coming in, and it comes in January, then we're going to have a trouble trying to sort out any of the routes. And I've just had to have a look at the membership of that, because it is very, very Stalybridge and Hyde. There's 7 on there, 3 Ashton and 1 from Denton.
Thank you. Councillor Homer.
Thanks, Chair. I'm more than happy to look at that for you, mate. Cheers.
Okay. We've already moved past that. We'll go on to questions under standing order 17.2 with a number of questions today. Can I just remind people that when you're asking your questions that you read the question you've submitted and nothing else.
So, the first question, with the Executive Leader's push for transparency, will the Council bring forward reports from scrutiny and committees to be debated at full Council? Thank you.
And I ask Councillor Reid to respond, please.
Thank you, Chair. I think I've been absolutely clear about my commitment to transparency, adhering to the highest possible standards with residents at the heart.
Have you got a follow-up question?
Yes, I do actually have a follow-up, because, you know, the agenda tonight, as I've stated before, is absolutely wafer thin, and I feel like the executive members have been filibustering the way through to pad out the meeting, because, frankly, Tameside Council meetings are quite embarrassing. We've got Mr Catherall, the new Chief
Councillor
Executive.
Billington, that has got nothing to do with the question you asked.
It absolutely is.
You've been responded to, and you're now adding to it.
No,
so you've had your response, and now moving on. Thank you very much.
You're as bad
the
as
second. The second question is also from yourself, Councillor
Yes, it
Billington.
is. Yeah, let me.
Your question, Councillor Billington. If there's any more interruptions from the public, I'm going to adjourn the meeting and ask that the public area is vacated. Councillor Billington.
Was by Emma Layla, who interrupted the memorial to the murdered police officers in Hattersley. I don't think we should pay any
Councillor
attention
Billington, you're
to what
supposed to
she
be
has
asking
to
your
say,
question.
quite frankly. So the second question. Council rules state that monies from the Mayor's Fund should only be given to registered charities. Will the Council continue to keep this pledge? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wills to respond.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Councillor Billington for raising the question. I think it's really important that we highlight what a great job our mayors do. I know Councillor Affleck is supporting some fabulous charities across Tameside throughout her mayoral term. I think it's really important that we do support charitable causes across the authority, especially the smaller, more locally impacting charitable causes. because then we know obviously that we're affecting our own people. It's very important that the Mayor's charity fundraising activities goes towards those charitable causes, and this has traditionally been up to the individual Mayor to choose where they direct their charitable funds. It is, however, a matter for the Mayor who they choose, provided they are directed to charity. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Billington, do you have a follow-up?
I have no problem with registered charities, but the council leader was going on about charitable causes, which, you know, quite recently there was money given towards Pauling Town as shopping vouchers. Some of that was given to Councillor Barton. Now, I find
Councillor Billington, that was not in your original question.
I think it's very pertinent.
It is not in
because this
your
is taxpayers'
question.
money.
You've had a response to it.
And I'm allowed a follow-up.
Yes, providing it's on the question you've
And
had.
it is within the question.
On the
You don't know what I'm going to
response
say.
you received. You're now naming individual organisations, which wasn't in your question,
No.
which wasn't in the response.
councillor has
So I'm now
received
going
money
to
from
move
that,
on
and I
to one
think-
of your colleagues.
Well, a councillor
And I ask
has
now,
received money from that, and I
Councillor
think
Billington,
it's
do you mind sitting down, because I'm moving on to one of your colleagues who wish to ask a question. Councillor Halligan. Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, several residents of Hyde Werneth, and particularly those on a Priority 2 gritting route, recently got in contact to report that during last week's snow and ice, they'd seen no gritting activity in their area, leading to significant safety concerns. I also received reports of grit bins, which I believe are to be replenished twice yearly, being found empty or having been removed altogether. These concerns were aggravated by annoyances at what residents see as year-on-year rising council tax and a failure to then meet the needs to keep our streets safe in cold weather. Considering these concerns, can the Council confirm that it is fully adhering to its gritting policy in respect of priority routes and grit bins, and what steps will the Council take to address these apparent shortcomings and ensure reliable services moving forward? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Boyle to respond.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I'd like to thank the operations team who've worked day and night during the recent cold spell, ensuring that our roads are safe and fit for purpose. To answer Councillor Halligan's questions, the gritting team always treat in accordance to our gritting policy. The network treated on 8 occasions between the dates you suggest, the 18th of November to the 22nd of November, using 583 tonnes of rock salt, which was spread on the whole network. The Priority 2 route in question in Werneth was treated 8 times, with 60 tonnes spread over that route. Prior to the recent bad weather, Slateacre Road, Lord Derby Road and West Park were also treated after requests from the Brabbins G Cross group, as it met the criteria. All of our 400 grit bins and salt piles are replenished in due line twice a year, as you said. No bins have been removed. In fact, an additional bin was placed on Lord Derby Road after an assessment was carried out at the request again of the Brabbins G Cross group because it was met by the criteria. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Do you have a follow-up?
For your response, I do appreciate that. All I would say is that it was not just one or two, it was a lot of residents who reported they'd just seen no gritting activity whatsoever. So if it were that, for example, it was delayed, maybe there's a perception issue, all I just ask is that if we could maybe review potentially how we communicate if there are delays to residents, so that if there is going to be those sorts of delays, they're at least aware and then they're not assuming that potentially they've been missed or forgotten about. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Boyle.
All our gritting operations are recorded. As I've said to you, it's all recorded when they were actually gritted. If you're getting complaints of residents, I would ask that you use the reporting procedures available, do it quickly and promptly so that it can pass on to our officers who can work according to your complaints. If there's a delay in that, there's going to be a delay in the areas that are gritted. Also, it's monitored based on the weather, predicted weathers, it can change. There are reasons why sometimes it's delayed, like you said yourself, traffic, the weather might not be as we predicted. it can cause issues in the speed in which it was gritted.
Thank you. Next question is from Councillor Chadwick.
Thank you, Chair. My question is, why has the free parking offer not been extended across all car parks in Tameside? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Homer.
Thanks, Chair. The free parking being offered at a car park in each of the town centres is to support businesses and shoppers in the run-up to Christmas, including the 2 new businesses that have opened recently in Droylsden. Not all car parks are included in the offer, as the council still needs to cover the costs of running the car parks. In addition, not all car parks are in the town centre and used exclusively by shoppers. Many of them are used by workers and commuters, etc. The intention is this great offer is to ensure there are spaces for all users. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a follow-up question, Councillor Chadwick?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Homer. First, I'd like to formally wish you and Councillor Owen well in your new roles, and I look forward to working constructively together, like we did on taxi licensing as Chair and Deputy. And in light of that working constructively together, Councillor Owen, Colborne and an independent and I are working together in bringing a community event together for the next 2 weekends in Hyde. Anyway, to the matter in hand. As much as I welcome the initiative of free parking in the town centres, it's still only 1 car park per town that is having the free parking. And to be honest, it's not enough for our businesses, who were badly let down by this council after the former councillor for Stalybridge North decimated businesses across Tameside by increasing car parking charges across the board. This is nothing more than too little too late for those businesses, and more needs to be done to support them. I am glad, however, that Labour has taken one of our election pledges and introduced 3 hours of free parking, although massively watered it down to just 3 weekends in December. Rather than Merry Christmas from Tameside Council, it's more like bar humbug. And on signing the pledge, no disrespect, but I do not need to sign a pledge to demonstrate that I'll shop local, because I do that already within my village of Hyde, within G-Cross and Hyde Town Centre. However, shop local is a fantastic idea and is one that is used year-round across the country on Small Business Saturday that takes place on Saturday, November the 30th. So, thank you.
Thank you. That's the end of those questions. Item 12, urgent items. There are no urgent items I'm aware of. That concludes this evening's meeting.
Members and officers, please stand and